Okay, good morning. Today is May 4th. I have my May 4th through 8th packet, and remember, very important that we're not working ahead. You have your daily suggested schedule here. Just remember, if you're in Miss Rudolph's class, that you're using A. Rudolph 8 on Raz Kids, okay? All right, so we're gonna go on to Monday. Again, today is the 4th, so if you wanna practice writing your date, it would look like that, okay? And we're gonna start with spelling, same format that we've been using past several weeks. So I have my highlighter here. If you don't have a highlighter, just a yellow crayon would work too. Okay, let's read through the beginning together. It says, when a word ends in LE, the consonant before it plus the letters LE form the last syllable. This syllable is called a consonant plus LE syllable. For example, look at the word fable. You divide the word before the consonant plus LE syllable. So, fa and then bull. Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's do number 7 together, actually. So let's look at purple. Where do you think you would separate that as a syllable? Purple. So the first part is per, the first syllable is per, and then the last syllable is pull. So we took the LE and then we took the consonant right before it, okay? So follow that same format with your other examples, or your other questions rather. Okay, now we are going on to the commas and greetings and closings. And I'm actually gonna, okay, commas and greetings and closings. So it says, letters or emails begin with a greeting. A greeting includes a word such as dear or hi and the name of the person you are writing to. A comma comes after the greeting. That is really important right there. Diary or journal entries may also begin with a greeting. So dear Mrs. Grant, comma, hi Carlos, comma, dear diary, comma. Put a comma in the correct place for each letter opening. So we're only going to do number 1, okay? It says, Dear Ann, will you come to my party? And your greeting is Dear Ann, and you're going to follow that with a comma, which looks just like an apostrophe, except it's on the bottom. Okay, and on number 7, the directions say read the start of a letter below, and then write it correctly on the line. So, Dear Adam, thank you for your gift. You're going to write that correctly on your line, okay? Okay, your next page, you have your information that, your informational page for your family to read about us learning how to tell time. So make sure somebody at home reads this. And we have it in both English and Spanish, okay? And then we're going to head over to math, and we're gonna start learning about telling time. So here we're going to first talk about the features of a clock. Your vocabulary is clock, analog clock, minute hand, and hour hand, okay? So clocks are tools that we use to measure time. I would highlight that whole sentence. So just like we use a ruler to measure length, we use clocks to measure time. And the first question says, describe some clocks that you have seen. So your answers are going to be different here, but go ahead and write about some different clocks that you've seen. And then number 2 asks us to place the missing numbers. This is an analog clock, guys. So a digital clock is going to give you the actual time. It'll have the numbers on it, whereas an analog clock is going to have a shorthand and a longhand, okay? All right, so in number 2, all you're doing is putting in your numbers. So I'm going to look at this. Okay, 12. There's 1. I know between 1 and 3, I'm going to put 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then there's 12, okay? So you're going to do the same thing with 3 and 4. Okay. And now we come to the middle of our page. It says an analog clock has a long hand, and that long hand is the minute hand. That's very important. And the short hand is the hour hand. Ring the hour hand on the clocks. So number 5 is the only one that I'm going to work out. I'm not going to do 6 and 7, but it says ring the hour hand on the clock. So I come back up the hour hand, that's the shorthand. So number 5, here's your hours. Shorthand tells us what hour it is. And then your directions say to ring the minute hands. I'm going to come back up. The minute hand is the long hand. Okay, so for number 8, I'm going to ring the long hand. All right? Okay, good to go. Now we're coming over to your brainstorm. You don't have your prompt written right there. So let me see if I flip over to Tuesday, if I can find that prompt. No, it's not on Tuesday either. How about Wednesday? Yes, there we go. Okay, so your prompt is this. Cinderella has a fairy godmother who used magic to make her a beautiful dress and glass slippers. Imagine that you met your magical fairy godmother. What types of things does she do? And don't think this is just a girly thing, right? So like if you want sports equipment or if you want to go to a football game, those things can happen, right? So imagine you just met your magical fairy godmother. What types of things does she do? What does your fairy godmother do? So you can be very specific as far as what she does for you. Okay, but my main idea is I love my fairy godmother. And so now I've got to think of 3 things she can do, because remember the last bubble or your last detail rather, that's going to be your concluding sentence. So in my main idea, I'm going to say something like, I love my fairy godmother. She can do so many things. She is the best fairy godmother in the whole wide world. First, what are some things that she can do? I'm going to say that my fairy godmother, she can fly. And then I'm going to talk about how she can take me anywhere, right? My fairy godmother can grant any wish. And then I want my fairy godmother to be able to help others. So I'm going to write that. I'm going to say, I love my fairy godmother. She's able to help other people who need help. Okay, remember last I'm just going to combine all 3 of my details. So then I'm going to say she can fly, she can grant any wish, she grants wishes, and she helps others. Okay? So that's all I have to do with my writing today, and then you get to flip over and you can just draw a picture of your fairy godmother, maybe 1, 2, or all 3 of the things that she's able to do. And this week we have your spelling integrated in with your packets. So you are going to do these words 3 times each. So let's just go, and we've studied how to read these because it has that L-E syllable in it. So rat, rattle, rid, riddle, sad, saddle, jig, jiggle, apple, puddle. Okay, and then on our last page, now we are working with here you see the digital clock that's down below the analog clock. So it says, I want you to write the time in 2 different ways. All right, boys and girls? So with these problems, and we didn't really go over that yet, but you see 4 o'clock is already written in your digital clock. So all you have to do is fill that in on the line, 4 o'clock. Now remember, this is the hours hand. So that hours hand is pointing to a 4. And anytime your minutes hand points to the 12, that is where your previous hour ends and your brand new hour starts, okay? So you don't have any minutes. You would just record that as 0 minutes. So that will be the case with all of these, okay? All you have to do is figure out what time is it right here, all right? And I'm just gonna write it. Right now I see that my hours hand is pointing to the 3. So I'm gonna write 3 o'clock, and then you need to figure out the times for these other ones to fill in. All right, now it says draw the hands on each analog clock and write the time on each digital clock below. This says 1 o'clock. All of these say o'clock. So your long hand is going to keep on pointing to the 12, and you want to draw it really, really long like I did in my example. And your short hand will point to the hour. So just a short hand over to the 1. And I'm going to write 1 o'clock. Okay? Now, AM is the morning time. That's when you're just getting up. And PM, the sun is still out sometimes in the PM, but that's usually more evening. It's from 12 noon until 11:59 at night, okay? So eating an afternoon snack. Are you gonna eat an afternoon snack at 3 a.m.? It's still very dark out then. That's in the middle of the night. 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. And you need to choose which ones when you think you're eating those snacks, okay? And we've made it to the end of Monday, so I hope you are able to get your work done today and you're being nice to your brothers and sisters, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.